so UAPs, UFOs, disclosure, where is it? Have you heard what Ross Caldert has said about this? Stick around.
Welcome to High Strangeness, where we ask questions and explore all that is strange and unexpected in our reality.
How's it going? High Strangeness here. Look, we're almost at 2025, or should I say the end of 2025, and my thoughts are, where is all the UFO, UAP, and disclosure stuff that we thought was going to hit in 2025? I mean, there were a lot of claims that were out there that we were going to see something, undeniable in 2025. We do know whistleblowers came out, and there were even classified meetings in skiffs. But still, we don't ever hear any of those things, but we do know that government has been getting detailed information behind closed doors, classified stuff that we can't see or hear as the general public. And, there are also locations, addresses, and things like that that supposedly have been shared. We even had another congressional hearing this year. So my thought is any of this going anywhere? I feel like we are the fools sitting on the sideline waiting for the show to start. And they keep saying, not yet. Oh, it's coming soon. Eventually, we're going to hear something. I don't know if I believe that. Is all of this going anywhere? Or are people just getting all fired up and hung up on this? And really, it's just a game, another shell show to basically show us one thing, but really tell us nothing, really give us nothing. So do you believe this year coming up in 2026 that we're actually going to hear anything? Do you believe it's going to ever happen, really, for that matter? Because I'm starting to wonder if they've gotten away with really sharing nothing for 80 years. Is this a situation where we just keep being strung along over and over and over? I mean, there have been some pretty serious predictions and promises about what was going to happen that was going to be undeniable in 2025. And what have we seen? More of the same thing. Pretty much second and third hand claims and stories. But really nothing else. So what do you think about 2026? Do you believe actually we're ever going to get any information on this? Well, look, we've got President Trump in office, right? That's the president and the actual team in leadership that we thought was going to be the total transparency. Now, if you want to hear what Ross Caldert said about this, I mean, he was interviewed just recently and shared his thoughts. So let's see what he has to say about this.
Everything hangs on one man, Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a transactional person. He'll be asking the question, now that he's been briefed, and I'm sure he has been, about NHI, what's in it for him? What benefit is derived for him to be the person who comes forward and tells the public the truth?
Okay, so Trump, interesting. What's in it for him? That is interesting. How does this benefit Trump? Well, I kind of disagree. I don't think Trump is interested in that at all. I actually think this whole situation is too big. I don't think they're going to let him share that information. I mean, maybe it's something scary that we shouldn't know, but it's likely just technology that the deep state doesn't want us to know about. So the real question is, what benefit does the government have in telling any of us any of this? Or should I say the military-industrial complex? They don't care what we think, and why tell us? It's interesting because the military-industrial complex, by the way, is deeper, darker than our government. So, our government has lied to us for years about pretty much everything. And they're not even very good at hiding it anymore. So what are you and I going to do about it? Nothing. So why would they ever stop? So the interesting thing is I tell my kids all the time when they deal with people that are difficult, I say, know people. If you know people, you understand what to expect from people. And if you understand what to expect, you don't get surprised. You don't get hurt. You don't get disappointed. So I'm saying to all of us, let's know government. We know what they're going to do. Do we really think that they're going to turn around and just say, you know, they're right. It's time for us to tell them. We feel like they deserve it. We do deserve it, but they're not going to tell us anything because why should they? All right, let's hear what Ross has to say.
I'm very influenced by the fact that good people like David Grush and others have talked about agreements, and there's a question mark in my mind. Is there some kind of agreement that constrains government from revealing what it knows about the phenomenon? I don't accept that it's a slippery slope to reveal the existence of an NHI engaging with this planet and to stop there. I think the public have the right to know that.
Okay, an agreement. So maybe Ross is right. But constraints? Constraints like what? We just want to know that they exist. But it's likely harder to explain than just that, right? Maybe we are just misidentifying spiritual, dimensional, technical, time travel things. And those who know just are interested in the tech. That's all they want is the tech. So who cares what we think? And they're not even probably that interested in figuring out what it is if they can get the tech. Now, I agree that there's some really trustworthy and valuable people out there that are trying to push this. I'm thinking of David Grush. I believe him, and I actually trust him. I think he's real. And there's others too. I think of Ryan Graves, David Fravor, Tim Gallaudet. But they can all share their observations, but they aren't getting the needle to move on this.
If I was Donald Trump, 2026 represents a moment for greatness. It represents a moment where he could be the person who does definitively reveal the existence of the deep state. And sadly, I think it's going to require an amnesty. As much as it galls me when I think of the crimes that have allegedly been committed to conceal this whole legacy UAP retrieval and reverse engineering program, the cheating, the lying, the murdering, the threats. There's been generations of people bullied, intimidated, and in some cases killed to hide the secret. I actually think we need an amnesty. I think the big decision that the president has to make is what's in it for him, what's in it for his administration to tell the American people we are not alone.
All right. Well, what do you think? Would Trump be interested in shaking the boat? I do believe this president is the great disruptor. I mean, I actually love that about Trump. Now, like him or not, this guy gets stuff done like no president we've ever had. So why not this too? But I do believe there is some dark stuff under the sheets here. Ross points out amnesty, maybe that's the only way. And I don't know, as I think about that, it's possible. What do you think? I mean, leave your comments. I want to know what you think. It's just me, whatever's going on in my head. But what do other people think? Do you think amnesty would be enough? I mean, even with amnesty, would they be willing to air their dirty laundry? Or is it easier to just keep playing this game that they're playing and getting away with forever?
But what I am aware of is a lot of people are telling me that the NHI are pushing that timescale. They're demanding, pushing a disclosure. And I suspect that has a lot to do with what we've been seeing in our skies. There is an increased frequency of anomalous phenomena in our skies, whether the skeptics want to admit it or not. We are seeing huge numbers of orbs, supposed drones, which I refuse to call drones, appearing over sensitive military and civilian facilities. And I've had numerous people say to me from within defence and intelligence that they have no explanation for what these objects are or where they come from. Here we are, it's well over a year on from when there was the last drone flap over New Jersey. But don't forget that these so-called drone flaps have been happening for years. In fact, going right back to the 1980s with the Belgian UFO flap. There's been anomalous objects showing themselves over sensitive military and civilian airspace for a very, very long time, and that's intensifying. So I suspect the NHI are turning up the heat.
Did you hear that? NHI is pushing disclosure. What does that even mean? Okay, a lot of activities in the air, I know that. And we're seeing it everywhere, across the world. But how is that pushing disclosure? What we see when we look up there is still fuzzy, unclear, cloaked in many senses, and even shape-shifting. So how is that little by little disclosing by showing us? Actually, how does that even help anything? It just makes it worse, more confusing. I don't know if I interpret it that way, but maybe Ross is right. I don't know. Now, drones, what do we make of this? The media doesn't even talk about this anymore, which I think is the most amazing thing, but apparently it's still happening. One of my co-hosts on the show actually saw one when they were visiting back east. He explained it really in a strange way. I didn't expect him to talk about it this way. I thought he was going to explain that he saw something at night, but he was in a high-rise building, or maybe it was a hotel, and he actually saw one in broad daylight. And how he described it was he saw it coming and then moving away, and then it vanished in thin air. Daylight, and it just vanished. So, I don't know. He is convinced that it's completely unexplainable. So my question is, have any of you seen this? Have you seen any of these? I want to hear from you, not from the media. Please share that if you have. Now, in my mind, is this NHI or is it just black projects? What do you think? Okay, so the ball is in your court, Trump. It really is. What do you think? Will Trump be the disclosure president? Or does he even care? Are we ready for real acknowledgement of this? Okay, so here's what I think. I think Trump would want that distinguished note in history, but he knows he can't share it because they will keep him from doing it. They won't let him. So what's he going to do? He's going to do the unexpected and the unthinkable at the very end of his presidency, and that's when it will be out. Unstoppable. He's going to say it, and nobody will be able to stop him at that point. And his name will be burned into the history books forever for all these things, and especially that. So what do you think? Let me know. Leave your comments. I want to hear what you think.
Can't give you a prediction about what I think is going to happen in 2026, but I certainly think there's going to be increasing pressure on the Trump administration and on key figures in that administration to be more open with the public. And I don't think there's going to be any lessening in the witnesses that are coming forward. I'm talking to people who are seriously considering sticking their heads up, and I know others are as well. And it's not going to go away. So, Mr. Trump, the ball is in your court, sir.
Okay, I'm going to leave the link to that 40-minute interview in the show notes. Other than that, though, let's see what happens in 2026. And remember, there's a lot of strange and unexpected in our reality, so always keep your eyes, ears, and minds open. And until next time, stay safe.
Thank you for listening to High Strangeness. This was a glance at some of the strange that exists in our reality.